Alright, so let's get into this. This was a trade for today. Some unfortunate stuff kind of happened. Just with like trade of 8 and my connection. It wasn't really working all that great, so ended up like the trade didn't even like, what's it called? The trade didn't even, I guess, fill. Like it didn't even fill the order. So that's kind of unfortunate. And so then I put a sell limit here, right at this, what's it called, London session high, and I put a sell limit because I wanted to take the partial profit, you know. But I guess since I wasn't even in the trade down here, and what happened was, whenever I pressed buy or whatever. Okay, well I'm not gonna do it, but I guess like I had a limit order, and so I was trying to place TP and stop loss, but it was right here, but I entered right here, and so my limit needs to be up here, not down here, because price already moved past it. So I just messed that up, and I didn't realize it, and I was wondering why I didn't hear like order filled, you know what I mean? So that's kind of unfortunate because this was literally like a banger, bro. Um, Literally like a straight up banger, like 2-to-1. Price moved really nice towards like a lot of draws on liquidity, and we kind of had this low resistance liquidity here, as you can see there. But yeah, so that was pretty fire. But yeah, I caught a nice little 2-to-1 RR. Kind of unfortunate that happened, just because now we had to end the day just in that, but it is what it is. It would have been like a $700 day, but it's all good. I mean, just stuff happens, you live, you learn. But yeah, let's just kind of get into the trade, what we were thinking. We were kind of thinking shorts today originally, I'm not gonna lie, but then we opened and created this 5-minute SMT divergence. But the thing was, we were kind of in like 4-hour equilibrium was looking kind of nice at the time, just would have liked to see it, just because of market structure. I would have kind of liked to see it retrace to this gap, or not that gap, I'm sorry, like into one of these gaps, just because this is such a imbalance of price here. Just all this area, we ended up only coming into this and pushing out, but I was honestly expecting to at least go into this gap, into that price range. So that's also kind of why I was originally short. And then we also just had like this, what's it called? Just like these lows here that looked pretty nice. And like it was also kind of, if we inverse this hourly gap, and yeah, that's just kind of what I was thinking. But then I was like, if we inverse, like this 15-minute gap at the top of here, then we're gonna we may want to go long and target session highs here, you know what I mean? Because these are kind of stacked up with low resistance liquidity resting right here, you know what I mean? So yeah, you know what I mean? So like that's, here we go, put it in all caps. But yeah, so that's kind of what we were thinking for today. So we just had to kind of sit on our hands and just kind of wait for price to see what it wanted to do here. Because originally we closed pretty bearish. I figured maybe we would sweep this low, and then that's when we would start seeing like, okay, we want to target these lows, fill this huge imbalance, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's kind of what we were waiting for, but then we just kind of started going higher. Um, this huge wick on NQ, you know what I mean? And so then we ended up getting a lower, higher low here, and a high, or no, I'm sorry, a lower low right here, and then we got a lower high right here, creating this SMT on the 5-minute time frame. And so then after we see that, that kind of gives us a little more faith in, okay, this is a significant SMT. We're at a session low right now, like that's just from market experience, that's just a really good sign, or gives us more faith in like the opposite direction bias. So that's kind of what we're watching there. And then we ended up forming this 5-minute gap when this closed. And so at this point, this was kind of the pivotal point where we were monitoring this 15-minute gap, and we were monitoring this 5-minute gap that just got created on both of the indexes here. And so we were honestly just waiting to see if we were going to want to inverse this gap, or if we were going to want to respect it, and that was going to be our trade. You know what I mean? Because here, we're in equilibrium. We're in equilibrium on both the indexes, I'm pretty sure. Okay, no, not quite on, not quite on NQ, but that wasn't what we wanted the trade on. We wanted it on ES just because it was closer to our draws on liquidity. But yeah, so we weren't in equilibrium here, but we were right at that imbalance. That's where equilibrium would have been, but we filled this gap, and we saw order flow out to the upside. And this, same thing here. We tagged equilibrium, plus we're respecting this gap, and that's what pushed us higher here. And so at that point, we're able to look for like a 1-minute inversion or something, or 1-minute break. And we end up getting that here. We were kind of messing around in this price range here of 949 area. So we were kind of chopping here for a sec, so I wasn't sure what was going to happen here. But yeah, that's kind of that. And then right once we were able to break kind of out of this zone, that's when I entered. I waited dang near for candle closure when I thought I entered. But I entered maybe with 5-10 seconds left, but I just saw this push up, and just kind of off experience, we got out of this zone. I knew we were going to this is where we want to push higher now. Stop loss underneath this 5-minute low, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's a 5-minute low right under that. And that gives us a really nice 2-to-1 risk reward if we hit our full take profit of Asia session highs at the top of the low resistance liquidity. So that was the trade. Ideal. And that's what happened. We were able to predict price very well. This was a nice big tick trade, so pretty beautiful. And yeah, that's really the rundown for today. And like I said, my trade of 8 was kind of messing up, so that's kind of unfortunate, just because this price action was beautiful, and we were able to execute with way high probability today for sure. So kind of unfortunate. Like I said, it would have been like a $700 banger, something like that, I think. But that is a-okay for sure, because there's other days to trade. So yeah, anyway, I hope y'all have a blessed day, and we'll be right back at it here tomorrow. Anyway, peace out, guys.